In the business academic community, but I think in the business community writ large, we are talking. So the Business Roundtable in 2019, in its statement from mid-August of 2019, committed to a stakeholder view of how business behaves or should behave in the world. And at the time, that was recognized as a significant shift. Some people have raised questions since about how effective the declaration has proven, especially in the context of the pandemic. But I do think that that declaration sums up our awareness that we are in a different place with regard to business practice. That our notions of what it means to do business well, to run a good business, have developed, have become more elaborate, have recognized realities of which we were not previously aware. And at least a piece of that, I think, arises from the recognition that we need to work across sectors, right? So that the private sector has to work constructively with the public sector, has to work with the civil sector, that people have different needs across sectors, and that the business of business no longer is, and frankly, I think never has been business. It's not the business of business's business. The business of business is to serve society. And that seems to me fundamental to the stakeholder assessment of what we are doing in business. Now, how do you get there? People have talked, and I think McKinsey, for example, has embraced this approach over time. Nick Lovegrove and Matthew Thomas have something called a TriSector Approach to leadership that bears exactly on this point. That is, that the people who are doing the best work in the business arena have the tools to navigate across sectors. I think it's interesting that MIT has chosen the commencement speaker it has, so Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, to speak, because she in fact represents the kind of leader that we're talking about, someone who can work across sectors, who has worked across sectors, and who understands that if we're going to develop global society in a way that meets the needs of a lot of people who have been neglected for a very long time for a whole host of reasons, that we're going to have to take an approach that builds across the three sectors. So if you're looking for specific figures, they are out there. Specific leaders, they are out there. They have specific notions of how to get to that world view, to implement it. And we have to accept that the challenges we face today need that response. And then we have to cultivate those virtues in ourselves. And it's not easy. Ethics has never been easy, okay? I don't think anyone pretends, whether it's Aristotle or Augustine or, Thomas Aquinas, or pick your figure across the ages, right? They recognize that it's difficult, but that doesn't mean we don't do it. And I guess you could argue, again, to come back to a point in one of my earlier comments about the romanticism, it is romantic to think, or idealistic maybe more appropriate here, to think that we can, as individuals, rise to the challenge that I've just described. But I think we can. I think we must.